anything or just imagined it. I didn't know. All I knew was I was in the cold sweat.
Good evening, all my creatures, creeps, cretins, and ghouls. It's Docta Zombo here, and I've got a fantastic guest, Martin King, on another episode of Zounds from Flipside. And he'll be talking about his new project, Dogtablet, and some of his upcoming releases. And you may know him from some of his previous projects in Test Dept and Pigface, some of my favorites. Things that I grew up on, been jiving and digging to for many years. How are you tonight, Martin King?
Yeah, very well, mate. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to have you on. I'm so happy that you're here. So, Dogtablet, you got a new album coming out. Tell us a little bit about what went into that.
Well, we have a new album. We have a new album coming out at the start of next year. We have a new EP coming out in October, which it's kind of there's been a long gap between the last album and this one. We've had there's been some personal stuff going on in people's lives, and sometimes it's not possible to keep the work flowing like you want it to. So we decided to push the album back to the beginning of next year. That gives everyone time to sort their stuff out. It's been, obviously for everyone, it's been a mental 2 or 3 years, COVID and the other shit that we're all dealing with. So we decided to do an EP, which puts a little bit of extra pressure on because obviously the EP is called Ashes, and the main track of that is track Ashes, which will be on the album. And then you're like, okay, well, then you're under pressure then to produce some more tracks to go on the EP that won't be on the album. It's not fair to put too much,
right,
from one cover. Anyway, so that's how we decided to play that game. So on the EP, we have Coral Sear with beautiful, absolutely beautiful vocals, on a slightly different sort of track plus. It's a more indie, like an indie guitar-y based kind of thing, with just amazing vocals. And I've got a chance to play drums as well, which I don't often do on Dogtablet stuff.
Nice. So I've heard a little bit here and there, stuff that's been leaked and whatnot, stuff that you've shared with me, and so far, absolutely fucking amazing work. Tell us a little bit about some of the other albums that came before this also, just so our viewers know what to look for, because I've heard a lot of what you've done, just about all of it, and saved it on my Spotify and dig to it when I'm hanging out here alone. And the only way that I can kind of describe it to people is a cacophony of emotion. You feel like you're traveling, you know what I mean? Each album has so many different variants that pull together.
I think you summed that up. I think you summed that up very well, Doc. Actually, the first album, Outlaws and Strays, is instrumental, and this came out of the work that we were doing for film and TV production shows and stuff. Some of the things that weren't getting used, and we knew they were really good. So that's kind of how the Dogtablet thing came about. Really, we wanted to, there's a lot of creative people in the world, and not many people are lucky enough to get their stuff played or used or listened to. Sometimes you value the things that you've written, and you know that you need to do something. But that's how we decided to put these tracks out as an album, to kind of so it's kind of theme music-y type stuff, that sort of thing.
So it sounds like you're kind of keeping with the tradition of kind of like, don't want to put it in the same bag, but kind of like how Pigface had multiple people coming in and out to keep the creative flow going.
That's definitely where we went. So after Outlaws and Strays, which was Double 30, the album was Double 30, and that's the first time that's when I got back in touch with Jared Lush, because we were good mates through our Pigface time. We sort of, as you do in bands, you drift apart when you're not playing and stuff, and I hooked up again with him during that, because he got in touch, and I asked him, I was like, by any chance, Jared, would you be interested in doing some vocals on a track? And he's like, yeah, give that a go. And then he did that. Then he did a couple of other tracks, and before you know it, I have Jared sitting next to me here. I wish I did. Not literally, but he was literally sitting here. We worked on the third album, Feathers and Skin, which has different guest vocalists, but Jared was the central vocal for that album. And I love working with Jared because he's Jared.
He's an interesting creature. And for anyone out there that doesn't know who he's talking about, this is the guy from Chem Lab. So do your research, check out. Amazing artist, very good vocals. I also noticed that in one of your albums, I'm trying to remember the name. It's got the blue and black cover.
Oh, Pearl Drop Blue.
There you go. You have a little signet with Cat Hall in it from Dissonance.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have two. There are two tracks on that album with Cat Hall on. A Star, which is the opening track. That's also got Steve White from Pig playing guitars on.
That's right.
And, yeah.
So, I have not personally met Cat Hall yet, but she has been on the show.
Neither have I.
Isn't it crazy how the world works now? You know, we all know each other, but nobody's ever met each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So Cat Hall had dropped a couple videos with me to throw on the show. So this is kind of like a weird reunion of people that have never actually met each other. Which is amazing. And God, just the direction you're going in. And I know that you had told me you were trying to do soundtrack, background music. And I'm just glad you're going the direction that you are. You know, just say fuck off.
Yeah.
Do what you feel.
I think that's kind of that's kind of how it goes now, because I'm no spring chicken.
Who the fuck is?
I'm 2 years away from being 60 years old, and I feel like I'm just making music now that I want to make. So sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves.
Yes.
To try and make tracks to fit into certain genres, and you think, people will expect this, people will expect that.
Right.
But as you get older, and you kind of just want to do all the things that you want to do. I listen to music now that I never listened to when, between the ages of 20 and 35, 40. I sort of I pushed a lot of things to the side because that wasn't the music I was into, and now I can afford to take the time to go back and go, bloody hell, that is a magnificent band, that is a great band, that is a cool band, that's one of the good things about getting old. Yes,
I do have to say, I've always listened to a lot of different stuff. Like I said, I was listening to Test Dept and Pigface back when I was, pre-teens. And, everyone was like, what the fuck are you listening to?
That's hardcore. That's hardcore.
Right. and it was between that and my other mainstay was classical.
Yeah,
so, while all the kids are sitting at school listen to, fucking Iron Maiden. I'm just like, I can't get into this shit. What is this? And they're like, what are you listening to? But as I get older, to me, I want to know all of it. I want to hear all of it.
Yeah.
Anything that's new. I don't care what country. I don't care if I understand the language. You feel it. And I feel that in these new albums that you're doing. And it really shows the path and the road. You know what I mean? Like you could feel the grit underneath the wind of the sound. And I dig that. You know what I mean? So I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yes. So, it's really, I'm really happy to have so many really great singers just popping in and, well, virtually popping in, obviously, because they're mostly American and they're mostly nowhere near me.
Right.
So, having Frankie Nardiello, that was amazing because like, well, I'll do a track for you. Yes, brilliant. all that stuff is it's brilliant. We have Sophia V and Melody Hoare they've both been really supportive. Lots of vocals and Melody Hoare particularly because sometimes my main writing partner Bob Roberto Suave, we only live about 40 miles apart, which I know is very small, but for here it's big enough, so we only ever really deal with each other on the phone, and every now and then he comes around. The problem with Bob when he comes round to work is that we only get about 2 hours work before he goes, hey, the pub's open, and then work ends for the day. So actually it's not all him. I would say that, but yeah, it's been really good to have loads of people working with us and stuff. I wonder so for the new album, got Stephen Archer. Stephen Archer is doing some vocals, but he's done some vocals for a track for the new album, which is
very nice.
That's a big one for us. Yeah, brilliant, really nice.
Very nice.
And it's right out. It's a right off the wall track as well. So
just some of the stuff I've heard already. For example, one of the videos that we're going to be playing tonight on the show.
Yeah.
It sticks with you. And I'm so happy when I see people after a long, huge career of pumping out music to finally have that chance where it shows and you can feel that they've just released. They just said, fuck it. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I feel. Absolute creative freedom to me is literally the thing that could change the world. And by putting it out there like that and letting other people feel that, they can then get the power to empower themselves and go out and do the same thing. Like one of the things with the show that I like to tell people, don't ever let the project get bigger than you. It becomes a monster, you got to release that, or we don't. We get scared and we hide in a corner, and then it never gets done. So
I think they are wise words. They're wise words because there are a lot of times where, especially, so I do a lot of remix work for people, and there's a big, I have lots of fucked up head things that go on all the time, and so one of the things I struggle with is letting things go. Once you do a remix for someone, and then I sit on them for ages before I send them out, because you just, that's that confidence to just go, yeah, well, there you go, that's what I've done. But
it's hard.
It's hard to send things out the door. I'm glad I don't have any children, because I would have kept them all locked up in the basement. They would never have gone out the door.
I do have a kid. He's 25, and I had to start myself letting him venture at a young age.
Yeah.
I had him when I was 17, so I was still a kid.
That's it. That is young.
you know? So I understand. And even with projects, I get so fucking worried when I put something out, especially if it's for somebody else. If it's for me,
Yeah.
I could sit on it. Yeah, I could play with it. I could come back to it. But when it's for somebody else and you know other people are going to enjoy this, man, it's like you just want to keep changing. But the only thing is that we have to keep reminding ourselves is if we don't have that fire to do better, we never will. And we'll just say, oh, we're good. And our stuff will become mundane and boring.
Yeah. You have to keep it. You have to keep it. You have to keep it tight and let it go as soon as it's ready.
Absolutely. And your music definitely shows that. So, with that being said, what music video are we watching tonight?
I think we're going to be watching the video that you made.
Oh, yeah. I did make that video, didn't I? Well, goddamn, I think I did a...
You did now.
You want to talk about having a hard time letting something go? When I put that out, I was like, I watched it. I was like, yeah, this is cool, but fuck, this sucks. He's going to hate this. You know?
There you go. Well, I didn't. I loved it. And the thing with that track is that this is a track that's on the EP. This is a track that I think is about 5 years old. And the original track is 5 years old. And it just didn't fit, and it's never had a place in any of the albums. Every now and then we go, oh, I've got a new album. What about Throat Flies? No. So this time we said, okay, I'm going to take all the work we've done. I'm going to work it now with some of the new kit that we have and some of the new bits and pieces that we've gathered over the last 4 years, and it's going on that EP, whether one way or the other.
It has to. It is stuck in my head all the time. Now, that could be because I've watched it like 300 times.
Yeah.
And listen. So, with that being said, no further ado, we are going to be watching Throat Flies on Zounds from the Flipside. And you've been talking here with Docta Zombo and Martin King. Take it away. All right, so Martin, I've got a couple questions.
Yeah.
Dogtablet is the new thing. you've got these albums out. You've got how many? What, 5?
The next one will be number 5.
Okay, and
Yes.
that one's coming out somewhere around the end of the year, beginning of the year.
Beginning of the year, yeah.
So, if you don't mind me delving into the past a little bit,
Yes, of course.
where did your musical career start? Like, how did that happen? Did you just fall into it, or did you? You know, it's always cool to hear those stories on how a musician starts their journey.
Yeah, no, there was no accident. There was no accident. My dad's story. This is bad form. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. So my dad was a jazz pianist. He was brilliant. He was really brilliant. This is quite a long story, but I'll cut it as short as I can.
You take as much time as you want.
So my dad, when he was 16 years old, he won a scholarship to the Royal Academy of Music, which was a big deal back in the day.
It's a big honor.
And but his dad he was from a proper British working class family. My dad's dad worked on the railways, and he looked at anything like in the arts as like a complete waste of your life.
Right.
So he stopped him from going and made him work on the railways. So hence my dad never got to do all the good things that he could have done with his talent in his life. And so I guess I was the lucky recipient as a growing up boy.
Very good.
That's all I ever wanted to do, was be a musician. I think I was in my first band when I was 13 years old, and I'm still really, really good mates with the guys I was first in those bands with. So, and
what was the name of that band?
Le Nouveau Riche.
Oh shit.
Le Nouveau Riche. And even so, we were. So right, that was probably hang on, how old am I now? 64, 74. Yeah, so by 15 or 16, I was doing gigs in local gigs and stuff. I come from a small town called Tunbridge Wells, and we had an amazing music scene there. It was just weird. Everybody was in bands, and we played all the time. Yeah, so there was no accident. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was a drummer. I wanted to be a drummer, and that's all. Yeah, that's kind of what I did.
And that's what started you on your long journey.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I get in discussions a lot with people that are, I'm working class too. I got a job. Yeah, I just let it out of the bank. I got a job. I've always worked. I guess it's one of those bags where I don't want to work for someone else, but until I get back to where I need to be, I'd rather be a working artist than a starving artist,
I worked for EMI for a long time, on and off. I worked at EMI Music Publishing for a long time. They were brilliant. I have to say, to work for a company that allows you to go, you're going on tour, off you go then.
That's
your job's
amazing.
here. And I think really because I got some really solid friends from that time who grew up with me, and while I was off doing my things, they were rising through the ranks of the business.
Right.
So always able to help me when I came back and needed some,
That sounds like a very nurturing environment for a musician.
Let's just say that Test Department wasn't a big money making organisation. So
I love fucking Test Department. There isn't an album that I didn't like. But I also got into like Genocide Organ, and a lot of people couldn't stand that, and then it got this weird backflow of like Nazis and shit. I didn't understand it. But back to the point with the the working class thing, I feel bad that people feel like if I'm working, I can't create. And if I create, I can't. You know, they don't understand that creation, imagination, and creativity in a whole literally is what holds society together. Without it, you know, they could sit there and be all these fucking artists, what a bunch of bums, go get a job. And it's like, look, without us, your buildings would look like shit. Your roads wouldn't look beautiful and flow.
Yes.
You know, your clothes would not fit.
Yeah.
You would be living in shambles because the people that would have control over your life would just be a bunch of greedy assholes. And, you know, it goes to show exactly how that is right now. You know,
Yeah.
so it drives me nuts. So, you know, I've had artist friends be like, why don't you just quit your job and do this full time? Hey, I would, but I also don't want to starve. And then I have my work friends that are like, why don't you cut the kiddie shit and just work harder? And I'm like, fuck no.
No.
Live more, work less, so I can work more on creativity.
Yeah, yeah, it's right. It's right. Yes, I think the artistic and creative business, let's call it a business, gets a really hard time. And you know, during lockdown, I don't know about it in the States, but in lockdown here, you know, what were people doing all the time? They were watching TV, they were listening to music, they were reading books, they were looking at pictures, you know, all the things. It was art that kept it kept the country sane while they were locked down.
Right.
People don't value that.
Right.
enough.
All the powers that be are plotting out their next move to blow something up. We were all expanding our minds. And here in the States, what happened is all the jobs said, time to get your ass back into work. And they all said, no.
No.
Why?
Yes.
Why? They're like, I just worked from home and it was totally fine. I got more work done.
It's very relevant to the UK. I mean, particularly, I can't speak for other areas of the UK, but for London, particularly for my wife Penny, she works for Sony, EMI, Sony, blah blah blah, and worked from home for 2 years, solidly, every day. You know, like instead of getting up and getting a train at 8 o'clock, she is sitting in her room working at 8 o'clock, still finishing at 7. When you know, so, and it was working with, and I have to say, all through the pandemic times, you know, all companies everywhere were like, oh, we really care about your mental health. We really care about your mental health. Right. And as soon as it's over, and we say over, when we say over, we mean when our government said, oh, it's okay, it's finished, it's all over. As soon as it's over, they're like, couldn't give a shit about your mental health. Get back to fucking work. Get back to your office, you know, 5 days a week from 9 to, it's bollocks.
It pissed me off like a son of a bitch, but it also made me happy that the people literally said, no, fuck you. You've taken our entire lives. We've already proven for 2 years worth of research that we could sit at home and do the job better when you're not breathing down our fucking necks.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is a thing with organizations, is that they fail to treat people like adults. They treat them like children, like they're at school, and they feel, and I think this is probably, I think we're going way off script here, but I think I think a lot of managers are promoted to a position where they are out of their depth and can't deal with stuff, and so they feel that if they can't be seen to be ruling over you 24/7,
they have no purpose.
They have no purpose. Because the work's getting done without them, and at some point someone should sit there, instead of going, why don't you all come back to the office, why are they not sitting there going, this guy who we pay all this money to what's he been doing for
Right.
2 years?
Right.
Anyway, that's
Hey, you know what? Things are changing one way or the other. If it's
Yeah.
on a down slope or an up slope, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. At least for once, I got to see people say "fuck you."
yeah.
And with that being said, it did bring out the creativity. So would you say during the pandemic that something inside you changed a little bit and gave you an extra drive, or would you say you were already on that path and nothing changed too much?
That's quite a hard question. I'm not sure really, because I think I was less creative at certain points during that because I was distracted. I watched a lot of telly. Is what I'm trying. I watched a lot of TV, and because I'm used to having nobody here, I have my studio in my house,
Right.
and I'm used to having nobody here, so I can do as much as or as little as I want to work during the day. That's how I worked.
Yeah.
To suddenly find I got someone buzzing around the house all day, busy working and looking at me going, exactly how much work do you do in a day?
Never mind.
And you go,
I'm busy.
I have to say, it's brilliant because I sat in this room and I was sat there, I kept looking at the screen and just pressing keys, going, I spent a lot of time in here not really doing anything because I didn't want Penn to see how my day usually panned out, which was Netflix, take the dogs out,
Right.
and then and you come in here. I come in here for an hour, sit down, go, okay, oh yeah, that worked. Disappear for a little while, come back. I think I spent the first 6 months in here a lot, not really doing very much, and until I finally relaxed and went, oh, do you know what? This is what I normally do. So,
Right.
yeah,
It takes a while. So
yeah, it's adjustment. Yeah.
it is. So heading back into the past a little bit.
Yes, indeed.
After your first band,
Yeah.
what happened after that? Did you go directly into like test department, or did you have a bunch of ventures in between?
No. I was convinced. I spent my whole teens from 15 to 20. I was convinced that any band that I was in at some point would be the thing, that which I'm presuming everybody does. I'm assuming everyone who's in band does that. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Right.
That's.
I don't think anyone looks at it and says, "Wow, I can't wait till we get big and play the state fair."
Yeah. So. So I was in band. I was in my own band, which went through several different same people, different names. It's really hard to think. But I think at one point, I'm going to say I think one of the high points of my life, even though I know I've done some amazing things with Pigface and TD, but one of the high things in my life was I was in a band with my mates who I'd grown up with called Tragic Roundabout, and we supported Jane's Addiction on the UK tour twice. So
Nice.
did 3 or 4 shows with them. The Jane's Addiction are one of my favourite bands. Well, I've got 2 favourite bands: Magazine and Jane's Addiction.
That's a great fucking lineup, man. That's a great lineup. I love Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie that they put out? I can't remember what the hell it was called. There was a movie that was put out on VHS back in the day.
No.
And it was like a whole story about Perry Farrell and his girlfriend, and she like ODs, and he ends up keeping her body in the house for like weeks.
It sounds horribly real.
Right. I forgot what it was called, but if you get a chance, you should check that out.
I'll Google it later. Other search engines are available.
Yeah, it's crazy what's available nowadays.
So,
you know what I mean?
So we Jane's Addiction were doing a. I'm going to go back onto this because this is a mega thing for us. They were doing a pre-festival secret show, and we got somehow. Oh, I know it's my the guy who was looking after us, my good friend Phil. He blagged us on to the bill as a support for this secret show, which we did in London, and afterwards. Perry and their manager Ted, at the time his manager was called Ted, they came into the dressing room after we finished and said, that was really amazing, how much did you get paid? Of course we all laughed because
right.
there is no pay, there's
right.
no pay, and so the band had a whip round and gave us a couple of £100
nice.
to say thank you. And then when they came over next, they asked if we would do the supports for London and Birmingham as well, which is brilliant, really
That's
good.
Fucking amazing. I could see that just like jolting your spirits, and just be like.
Honestly, because I was a big fan. It's very rare that you get to meet your favourite bands,
right.
but to get to play with them was brilliant. Really good. So that was that. Yeah.
One of the guys that I'm going to be interviewing in one of the upcoming episodes, his name's Stuart Sweezy. Lo and behold, I don't want to say too much, but he was roommates with Perry for a very long time, for like 5 years. And he started this whole thing called Desolation Center. And it was this gig out in the desert. I'm already giving too much away, but
don't.
Short, little world, man, little world. I mean, he's out of LA.
It's weird.
Fucking crazy. I love Jane's Addiction. So, but
me too.
Pornos for Pyros was good. Have you heard any of Perry's new stuff?
Nope, I haven't.
Holy shit, check it out. It's not bad. It's
okay.
It's very jungle, industrial, whatever, or not industrial, dance, but it's got his flavor. So check it out.
Yeah.
So. Now that you have this big break and you guys feeling on top of the world, where'd it go from there?
It was kind of around that time. My friend Big Stu, who's a massive Test Department fan, and he was like, Test Department looking for a drummer. If you want to go, and I can organise an audition for you if you want to. And I said, well, that's really good, but I have already got an audition with Jesus and Mary Chain.
No shit.
So I was like,
fucking great.
I know, didn't get it.
Well, hey, you got considered. That's an honor in itself, just being considered.
I will say that because I was really disappointed that I didn't get that, but I'm going to tell you this. That because it was just for a tour it was a European tour, and the first review that I read of that tour, it said if this was a football match, the drummer would have been substituted at half time. Thought, there you go, my friend.
Take that, motherfuckers! That'll show you. So what era would you say that was in, like time wise?
That 89.
89. Okay, so we're working our way through.
Yeah. I was still reasonably young at that point. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I went for the audition with Test Department. I've only ever done 2 auditions in my life. One was Jesus and Mary Chain. The other was Test Department. So they were, let's say, they were poles apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't, and to be honest, I didn't really know much about Test Department other than that I knew my mate was massively into them and he banged on about them all the time, but I didn't really know much about them at the time.
Right.
It was kind of unusual, I'll say, when I was like, oh, this is not normal.
To say the least.
Yeah. But, it was good. It was there was a lot of counting involved. I remember in the audition, a lot of counting goes on in Test Department. Some of the guys are not natural drummers or not natural with rhythms, but they count and they work really bloody hard to keep in time and stuff. It's about a lot of it's counting and stuff.
You could definitely hear in Test Department that there's something more going on than your usual run-of-the-mill band. Like they're feeding off each other, and I think that's the only thing that pulls it together. You know what I mean? So it's not complete chaos. Don't get me wrong. There are some that is complete chaos, but
I have to, I know that I didn't join. Let's say that the Test Department, I joined in 1990, I think. I did 10 years with them. I did in 1990. I would say there are some Test Department purists who would say that after 1990 it wasn't the same. But that's because I think that, you could speak to Graham and Paul or something, and they maybe would challenge that. But kind of, Test Department were growing into a different thing. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. You can, and a lot of people do.
Yeah, look at the fucking Rolling Stones. Jesus Christ, why aren't they fucking dead yet?
But you can, and people do, and that's fine. But sometimes, the 90s over here were just amazing. It was amazing here.
Yeah.
It was just, there was the whole drug and beats and dancing, rhythms. It was a massive, massive thing.
Yeah.
And we really, Test Department were plumb for that, proper. Look at these.
I personally, I like the evolution. I like seeing the evolution, and I think that's what really turned me on about checking out Dogtablet. Our friend Eric Alberto turned me on to it, put up a post, and I was just like, this is fucking good. This is really fucking good. And that's when you got a hold of me and said, hey, thank you. And at that moment, I do apologize, but I was like, he actually said hi.
They actually, to say to Eric, when you speak to him, because we did chat a little while ago, and I think I might have a track for him if he wants the vocal, so you could pass that message on.
Absolutely. I should be talking to him today because he's going to be in this very episode that I'm going to be showing.
Yes.
He's going to be playing.
This is how small the world is.
Right. Hey, one of these days we got to get you a roll on here too. I love doing that shit. It's just, it gives people a creative outlet to do something different and just have a good time. I'm really into the idea of bands evolving. I don't understand how anyone would want to stay in a box, but it kind of goes along with how society works. We got searchers and sitters, and searchers keep evolving, and sitters just they find their niche and they go with it and they stay.
I think that's a thing, and it bothers me that people who are fans of a band who go, oh, you're not doing the music I like anymore. It's like, okay, well, pass on, move to another. Don't sit and slag them off. Don't send them messages on Facebook or whatever going, oh, you're shit now, or you're not doing this.
Right.
I wish you were doing this. It's like, well, like, we all wish we were 18 again.
Right.
I actually don't.
Fuck no. Fuck no. I wish my body was 18.
There you go.
And my mind, I kind of can't wait to get even more knowledge, because the path I've been on, Jesus Christ, man, I feel like an old man and a young man. Well, not even a fucking young man's body, but you get it.
Yeah.
So
I've been down a lot of unpleasant roads over the years. So
don't get me started. I I have one good road going simultaneously right now with a horrible one, and I'm trying to keep my mind on this one, but this one keeps bleeding through, so it is what it is.
You have to work hard at that shit.
Yeah, hey man.
That's what we do.
Hey, even if we never worked a fucking day in our life, we're working every day just trying to survive. Seriously.
Yes, we are.
So, moving on through test department.
Okay.
The evolution, fuck what people say. You guys evolved. Where did you go from there?
So as we went through, we started to, with Russ McDonald, who was our sound man, and I say he was our sound man. That's his technical job, but he's like a brother,
right?
And so with him, he bought another side of music in, and so we're starting to go in, and we've got I would say like jungle beats, drum and bass beats coming in. So that was by the time we did Totality, and then Tactics for Evolution, and that's by the time we reached Tactics for Evolution, that's when I started to write. That's when I started to do to do writing with computers and stuff, blah blah blah. Because up till then I was a drummer,
right?
And that's when I had my
technological
Atari, my Cubase and my Atari. And the first time that I'd met samplers was with Test Department and Tony Cudlip, who's my brother buddy in Test Department. He showed me how to use it, and that's how that started to work. And so I started to write my own stuff. I think 4 or 5 of the tracks on Tactics for Evolution were my own tracks. I wrote and produced myself with the help of Russ and stuff. So that's when I discovered that I could make whole music myself.
That's fucking amazing. And it is a testament right there to what we've been talking about this whole time with the evolution. A lot of artists are so afraid to be labeled as like a sellout or this or that because they changed the way that they make music. And to me, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a guitar player. He's a guitar player, but the moment he steps out of that and starts playing with a fucking keyboard, everybody's like, whoa, what are you doing? You're ruining it. And they don't get it. They don't get it. If it makes a sound, if it feels right, it's fucking music, period. And you use any tool, like that's a new Barton, how they would use just pounding on metal, grinders, stuff like that. These are the tools that they found that signify what they were trying to say.
Yep. I mean, I think. I mean, I have some amazing stories about Test Department traveling around Europe, being stopped at borders for checks, and with all the crap that we had in the back of the bus, people opening up. Imagine. I know, they're like, okay, shut the doors immediately.
Right.
It's like
just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Do you have any amps? No. What do you have? We have some scaffold, a couple of old cylinders, massive great metal disc, and they're like, okay, shut the doors, please go away. So that was kind of where we were going to in the end of the 90s. I think that's what, that's kind of that progression, and I think that was brilliant for me. That opened up a whole new world.
Well, I mean, look at you now. Now you're making the shit all yourself.
Look at me now.
Yeah, look at you now. No, seriously, one of the things that I like to bring people on that have a free mind, a free spirit, people that are creative, because I really feel it's imperative that the younger generation and even our generations see this so they know that life's not over past a certain age. Life is not over because somebody said so, and we don't have to live in fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm enjoying my music more. I think probably because I have the freedom to do, you know, the music I want to do, and some of those bands that I used to diss or I used to just blank out that I've mentioned earlier, that sort of, you know, I'm bringing some of that into my new music. So yeah, there'll be stuff here that's a bit indie, a little bit guitar-y, or
I've heard that. I'm trying to remember the name of the album. Something in Feathers. Which one?
Feathers and Skin.
There you go. I was listening to that, and it really does flow, and then it takes you in places you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
But it fits, and I love it. It's a great exploration, and like I said, I love seeing the evolution. So hearing the story of the beginning through is amazing. And by the way, on what you're saying, like bands that we used to just say, fuck that, I ain't listening to that. Yeah. One of mine was Radiohead. Seriously.
You see, I was the same with Radiohead.
At first I was like, shut the fuck up, stop whining. And then I listened to it over and over, and I was like, God damn, this is fucking really well done. Yeah. So now I'm a huge fucking fan. And then they put out that album Amok, where I think it wasn't actually Radiohead, it was just Tom. But it's stuff like that grows on me. Yeah. But you know what hasn't? You know what hasn't grown on me, and probably never will? Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, all those fucking fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they have, you know, they have their own places. That I've never been. I've never been in. I can't. It's never been for me. That stuff.
No. It just always cracked me up, because here I am listening to, you know, like Ministry and Dead Kennedys and stuff like that when I was really young, and started working my way into the darker industrial stuff. And, you know, I'm watching these hair metal bands, and everyone's like, don't bring them home to mama. And it's like, yeah, because nobody wants to try to figure out which one's their daughter and which one, you know, don't want you stealing my wife's makeup, you know, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense. And then the music, like if the music was good, that'd be a whole nother story.
Yeah. It's just not for me. You know,
it's not for me either.
I know.
So back to the story of your life.
Okay.
Moving through test department. What happened then?
Happened then. So Pigface happened then. So 98, I think Martin Atkins. I think it was 98 or 97 or 98. When Martin Atkins got test department over to the US. I think I can't remember. Which was amazing. I mean, it was just brilliant. For me, personally, I can't speak for everybody else in the band, and I don't, and I wouldn't.
Right.
But for me, as a boy, sitting in my garage, playing my little drum kit at 14 years old, the idea of me playing my drum kit in America was just right out there.
Right.
And Martin Atkins made that dream come true, and I will love him forever for that.
It's amazing. So you got to play with, because Pigface literally was not just the same people. It was like a revolving door.
Yeah. So I met 98. So I met lots of people who I didn't really, I didn't know who they were, and I tried to take in as much as I could. I mean, some of them I've remained really good friends with, and so sometimes when I look, I go, oh fuck, I played with you. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. That happened. Yeah, it was like, someone put a post on the Facebook a few weeks back, a month or so, and said, oh, you played with that guy. I was like, did I? And then saw the picture, and I'm like, fucking yes, I did.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that kind of Yeah, it's brilliant.
I mean, that's got to be just a blast, you know? It's like you're walking into something, you're going, making your dreams happen, and there's just this barrage of people coming from every which way, and you're just trying to hold with the group and be like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think on one of the first times that I met Frankie, we were in a dressing room, and he was going, oh, I thought he was taking the piss, because I come from a very cynical land called England,
Right.
and he was going, I did a solo album a long time ago, back in the 90s, under the name Subgenius. I did a cover version of 5 Years of David Bowie's song 5 Years.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Frankie's like, that cover version you did is one of the finest things. And I looked at him, I was thinking, are you taking the piss? But having spent more time with him, I know he wasn't. He was just genuinely, and it was amazing. I was fucking like, wow, thank you, mate. Thank you very much.
That's gotta feel good.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
I have never had the success that you have. All my little successes were good enough, and it's when somebody hears something you did and they actually paid attention and they're like, hey man, I checked out your stuff, I love it.
I will correct you there, because I think all successes are the same size when you're looking at them from a personal thing, because
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter who it is that's saying this is this, but it means the same thing. No, somebody else's opinion shouldn't be.
It means the world. It means the world.
Yeah, it means what it means, and I think that's,
yeah.
That's why it's really nice to get feedback from people, and even if it's just, oh yeah, good track, mate, or yay, or
hey,
shit.
Just having you on this show you have no idea. I called up everybody I fucking knew, which is very few, and I was like, you have no idea who's going to be interviewing with me. Oh my God. Like, he actually gave a shit to say thank you and hi. And then I started getting nervous. I was like, fuck, did I overstep my bounds by saying, hey, do you want to be on my crappy show on YouTube? So
you're underselling yourself again. So,
hey,
yes.
I like talking shit about myself because it's funny and I don't take it serious. It's just the way I talk. It is what it is, and I'm trying to make it what it's gonna be. And honestly, I'm just having fun having people that have never done something and just go at it, because it's good to look back and see how they react, how they feel about it. It's just, and watching the final product, even if I'm not 100% happy with it, I like to see that final product and hear anybody's opinions, good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah.
I just want to know. You know? So, wow, man. So, your dreams are coming true. You get to America. People are digging on stuff that you've done even on your own. At this point, I guess what happened next?
So that was when Martin asked me if I would like to come and play with Pigface on a tour. Thank you very much. That is fucking brilliant. I can't remember, because lots of things happen and shit fades and stuff. Yeah. But I do remember getting there and just being overwhelmed by, I need to learn this, I need to learn that, I need to do this, and all the amazing people that were in that band at that time. And Jared he really took me under his wing, I think, at that point.
Would you say that's kind of where your relationship?
Yeah. he was, you know, I was a kind of lost, the lost London boy, and he was like, oh yeah, don't worry, this is how it all works. It moves like this. This is how we, you know. Yeah, it was really good. You know,
It sounds like one hell of an adventure. I mean, to say the least. So, through your career with all that and Pigface, and really kind of breaking your teeth on the American road, and you know, Jerry kind of leading you through. How long did that last?
Well, I did two tours, I think. I don't know. Once you've toured and Sheep on Drugs are with you, it's really hard to remember whether you've done 2 tours or 102 tours. I think
Right.
that's
So did that just kind of branch into other things after that for you?
No, not really. I think I just round about some other stuff started going on in my life around about 2000, in the mid 2000s, and creativity wasn't one of them.
Right.
So went through some pretty tough times mentally and with addictions and stuff, and I needed to sort all that out, and it took until about 2012, 2013 to really sort all that stuff out.
It's not an easy path out of that. It's not.
It's not.
No. You know, everybody says, hey, when you quit this, you'll feel great. No, you don't. And it takes 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 years to where you look back and you're like, fuck, I had to relearn how to live, think, love, treat people.
I think it's how you need to repair the damage that you've done to other people. I think that's the
hardest part too.
That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Especially when you start to realize, like, I hate to even say this on the show, but I try to keep it real. One of the hardest parts for me when I quit drinking and, you know, pounding back the pills and the coke and all that shit, was talking with my kid, and he's reminiscing, you know, having a couple beers himself, and remember that one time, the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life is look at him straight in the face and say, I'm sorry, buddy, I love you to death, but I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And that was hard. Because, you know, here I am watching him doing the same thing I was doing, and I'm just like, no, man, you need to live up to what I was. Just listen to what I say now, because it will save your ass a whole lot of trouble in the future. You know, that was a rough time. So I understand.
Yeah.
But out of the ashes, just like a phoenix, you have risen with new amazing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And and now, so we have that brings us nicely round to Ashes, which is the EP.
Fucking fitting.
And but we don't really have I don't think I have a name yet. So I will, can I just throw some stuff in now? Just random. You know that I have a massive thing about greyhounds.
You throw whatever you want out. This is your thing. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get wrapped up. You're very easy to conversate with. So.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just saying. Sorry, that's us. I rehome greyhounds, racing dogs. I don't know if you know that. Did you know that?
No, I don't know that. I've seen a lot of pictures of greyhounds that you've posted up. I didn't know you rehome them. I just thought you had your gang of
so
greyhounds.
Since 2000, when Penn and I took in our first greyhound, retired. So there are the racing dogs when they retire. Sometimes in the past, not so much now, thank goodness, but in the past they do some horrible things to racing dogs when just because they don't want to look after them. They only race till they're 4 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
And then they do unspeakable things to them to make sure they can't be connected to them, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so in 2000, we took on our first ex-racing ground, George. Batman Returns was his racing name. The irony was never lost on me that whenever I let him off the lead, he never ever once came back. I used to follow that little fucker around the park for hours on end until he ran out of energy, and then he'd go straight to the nearest human and go, "I'm tired now." And you call my dad, and I would get a phone call. It'd be like, "Yeah, have you lost your dog? Yeah, he's over here. Thank you very much." And then so we've been rehoming retired racers for 20 years now.
Wow.
We have, at the moment we have so the first album, Outlaws and Strays, the cover of that is one of my greyhounds.
Makes sense now.
The outlines. Double 30 was the name of Dexter. That was Dexter's racing name. We only had him for 6 months before he died of cancer. He's only 4 years old. He was a brilliant dog. So the cover of that album is his collar and his tag and his racing name, Double 30. Pearl Drop Blue was the name of Connie, our greyhound who died this time 2 years ago. So I like to try and bring my dogs into my stuff because I love them so. Yeah.
It sounds like a labor of love.
Yeah, at the moment we have two. We have Bridget and Geordie, two girl and boy, and that's kind of. I just wanted to mention ground.
Oh, that's okay. So now it's all coming together. So the name Dogtablet.
No.
No.
No. This is it's not. Lots of people say, "Oh, where'd you get? What's that name? What's that mean? Does it mean this?" Really, Bob. So Roberto and I, we are Dogtablet. That's our thing.
Right.
We were sat in the pub one afternoon. We were discussing names for a project. You have to have a name and stuff. Blah blah blah.
Right.
I can't remember how it happened. But during the 70s, when we were growing up, okay, so in the UK in the 70s, there was only one company made things for pets, like pet tablets and things, all kind of medication.
Right.
It was called Bob Martin. Bob Martin, it was called, and because we are Bob and Martin, someone who was at the table with us went, "Why don't you just call yourself Bob Martin?" Yeah. And I went, "Oh, what, like dog tablets?" We're like, "Oh, that's it. That's the one." And that's.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, no, I told you it wasn't a great story, but.
No, that is. Now all the covers totally like everything kind of comes full circle.
Yeah.
All the way from the new album cover. Title Ashes makes sense. All the different albums and with the dogs and stuff. I mean, that is a labor of love. That is a very commendable thing.
Just downstairs, I have all of our dogs are in the cupboard. All their ashes are in there. My dad's in there with them.
Nice.
We're just waiting for my mum to go. I think my mum really wants to be in there with my dad and all the dogs.
Well, at least they got friends.
We got six dogs. Ashes and my dad in the cupboard downstairs. It's really unfortunate because it's in Penn's office. So sometimes when she's rummaging around looking for a document, she goes, "Oh, fuck, yeah, dogs." Yeah.
Right. Take her back.
Yeah.
So do you guys do any like fundraising for dogs or anything like that that you would want to throw out?
I've done a couple of half marathons I did for Batsy Dogs Home, that sort of thing. And I also sponsor a couple of dogs, and we regularly So the guys, the kennels that we got these guys, that we've got all of our races, X-races from, we often go down there and just chip in some little bits here and there and stuff, you know. During lockdown, especially because there's tough times.
Very tough. I don't know if they've actually gotten a whole lot better, but we'll just act like they have.
Yeah, let's pretend that they have, eh?
Yeah, well, I'm good with that. Here, cheers, man. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
I am very happy that I got to talk to you. You exude the heart that you have. Okay, and your creativity. It comes out in the music. It comes out in what you're doing with your dogs. And this all just comes full circle for me. I mean, these albums are not just albums of trying something. This is a labor of love. So,
yeah.
I have had a blast talking with you. Thank you very much for taking the time out.
Oh, thank you.
And for anyone who made it all the way through the interview, you have been watching. You have been watching Docta Zombo and Martin King from Dogtablet here on Zounds from the Flipside. And until next time, my friends, stay safe, be a creep, be creative, and don't let anyone fucking tell you can't, because I said you can. And that's all that fucking matters. So from Docta Zombo and Martin King,
cheers.
Have a great night.
Thank you very much, mate.